Hey everyone, welcome back to My Green Pets. I'm William Green. Signs of autumn are all around us here in the Ohio River Valley. The autumnal equinox was just a couple weeks ago, and now the nights are longer than the days, and the temperatures have changed accordingly. Temps have dropped an average of about 10 degrees Celsius, which means it won't be long before they're all coming back inside. In fact, this is probably the last time we'll be able to see them outside this year, so let's enjoy. Vanda Picharda Light is opening spike after spike, and it's just looking gorgeous. It certainly has liked the hot, rainy summer we had this year. Now, it has gotten a bit too much sun. Some of the leaves look like an old banana, but the flowers look great, and it should be in bloom for the next few months. My other Vandas, two of which are seedling sized, have put on a fair amount of root growth this year, which is great to see. One interesting tidbit that I learned from another orchid grower a couple years ago is that root color can actually indicate flower color, meaning that more pigment in the roots, such as these, could indicate a darker colored flower. Alright, well thanks Vandas, that was lovely. Let's move on over to the shade tent and see what's going on over there. Oh man, I can't believe this is the last week to have them outside. Can you believe they've been outside for 5 months already? Now it's time to go in for winter. Brassocatant's Little Mermaid is a beautiful little Cattleya hybrid. Puts out lightly scented pink flowers. Look how this new growth is swollen so much that the sheath surrounding it is split. The flower buds are finally visible. You can see them poking out the top of the flower sheath. Those are going to continue to swell and will bloom in a few weeks. These Cattleya Rex seedlings are pushing new roots out of their latest growth. They've done well this summer, but one thing I've noticed about this Cattleya is that it is kind of temperature sensitive. If it gets too warm, the leaves they get covered in this black speckly stuff that I kind of suspect might be fungus. And if they get too cold, then they get these black patches which tend to grow and take over the leaves. So they're really picky about temperature. As far as root growth this summer, well, I think it speaks for itself. They've had plenty, although once the roots leave the pot, sometimes they dry up and die. Moving on to the Catasetum type orchids, which I have a couple of them, and the one on the left is Mormodia Jumbo World, which if you see that big pseudobulb in the middle there, the bright green one that doesn't have any leaves on it, it bloomed last year and had lots and lots of flowers. The bulbs that came out this year are smaller, but they're still a decent size. So I would expect 1 to 2 spikes per bulb, so maybe up to 5 or 6 this year. Anyway, they'll be poking out probably in November or so from the base of the plant, and then they'll bloom around February. My other Catasetum type, this Wine Delight, is showing its buds at the end of a short spike. I believe that this might be the first time this plant has bloomed. I just got it this summer, so I'm looking forward to the colorful and also fragrant flowers. Moving right along, let's take a look at those Bulbophyllum orchids, which I have to say they have to be some of my favorites just because their blooms are so odd and unusual. This is Medusa. It's probably of the bulbophyllums, certainly puts on the most spectacular show. The flowers have this white pom-pom look to them, and this is the first year that Medusa has got 2 spikes per bulb. I've counted at least 4 new bulbs with 2 spikes each. Now, I've got to be careful when I bring this thing in because I was looking around and I actually found a little somebody inhabiting this plant, trying to stay warm, I guess. I don't know, but gotta watch out for them. The Rufous Bulbophyllum is a different type. It's got, instead of pom-pom type flowers that occur in a circle or in a bunch, its flowers come out on long, skinny spikes, and they can be really, really long. Now, this plant is relatively small. It was just given to me as a cutting, and it's put on 3 new bulbs this year. 2 of those bulbs have spikes that you can see. I'm not sure how long they're going to be, but I'd hope that they would be at least 10 inches or so. We'll see. The next bulbophyllum that I'm looking at is Lovely Elizabeth. This was also received as just a small cutting with just 2 bulbs. It's put on 3 bulbs in the past 2 years, and Two of them this year have spikes poking out. That's really exciting. And in fact, you can see the colors starting to develop in the spike. You can see that light pink and some little speckles. If they look like the pictures, it should be really, really amazing.
Oh, I can't wait for those bulbo films to bloom.
Sorry, Mr. Fly, these plants are coming in and you are staying outside.
What? No!
That's right, I've been giving all of my orchids a dose of insecticide once a week for the past 3 weeks to hopefully keep any insect infestations to a minimum when they move back in. Well, the bulbophyllums certainly have some pretty fascinating blooms, but let's not ignore the phalaenopsis, which are faithful, faithful bloomers, and they always put on a beautiful show. I got one new phal this year, and it's a Schilleriana. It's a species, and I just cannot get over these leaves. I mean, look at these! I think that I'm going to name this plant after one of the characters from the comic Watchmen. Can you guess which one? Well, technically, I guess it's a graphic novel. But anyway, it's putting out some new roots, and I don't know, hopefully it'll bloom this year. Some of the other phalaenopsis are well into their bloom spikes for this year. I'm super happy about this one. This is a Mycela monticola, and it was our project plant on the orchid board last year. But it didn't bloom for anybody, and it died on a lot of people, and now this year mine's in spike. I am pumped. Moving over to the slipper orchids, most of them have been brought inside, but there's still a few out here. They're not doing a whole lot, but no news is good news a lot of times. There's something definitely going on with this Phragmipedium grande. I showed you last week that some of its lower leaves were rotting. Well, the good news is that this week it doesn't appear to be spreading, so we'll see. Maybe this plant will make it after all. My Oncidium maculatum is pushing out the newest pseudobulb and the one that will hopefully be blooming. I normally get spikes starting to grow out in November or so, and those take about a month and a half to develop, and then right around the first of the year is when this plant blooms. Everybody, that's it. This is our last update from the shade tent. Next week, most everything will be brought in, but this winter is going to be very, very different from last winter because, as you'll recall, last year everything was in the sunroom. This year, that is not the case. We've got a completely different grow area this year. Next time I'll be showing you how this space has been converted to house my orchids for this winter. That's all for this week. Thanks for dropping by. This is William Green with My Green Pets.